Ooh. Oh, it's hot. Hello, darlings. Hello. How are ya? Welcome to Sipping in a Sip with Sabrina. And I am Sabrina. How's everybody doing? Me, myself, I cannot complain. I don't know if it'll do me any good, anyways. If I did. But I'm A-okay. It's hot as hell though. If you in any part of the Central America, honey, you was hot as hell too, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. It was one of those days. It's extremely hot. It's still hot. I just came in from outside and it was extremely hot out there. Sure is. It's nice and warm out there right now. And the sun ain't even up. But yeah, we been talking about the Kills Shot Town case, you know. You got R. Kelly, you have Milton Brown, you have Derell McDavid, all a part of this Shot Town trial. And today we're gonna go over week 4, day 16, which is day 20, because remember the court had been closed for some days. And then we gonna do week 5, day 17, which is day 21. And we gonna do the verdict. You did. We show vehicles. We gonna get this right on up out of here. And then I can go to my next topic. You know what I'm saying? We can go to the next thing, get into my little power. Raising Canaan. Okay. But yeah, we day 16. And today they was talking about who is hot? Um the 27K that they took off of his commissary account, along with I think probably a couple of other people. That's also they knew that was Kill's money on a commissary or what have you. I guess he was trying to hide it out. Well, it was taken from his commissary, and they're pretty much saying that it's going to not go back to Kale's at this moment, but it will go to the Eastern District of New York clerk, and they will put it in a interest-bearing account until they can figure out how to apply it to his restitution. And I'm thinking that the reason why they putting it in an interest account, the account that will rack up interest over time, is because one, it will go towards the restitution, and then if there would be more left, it will go to his what is, I think it was 100K fine that he owes, and then if it's more than that, it will go to the JTVA assessment. Okay, so like he owed money to so many, like he owed money to these victims and all that stuff. So what they doing is, because he may not be out no time soon for nothing, it's their way of pretty much trying to get their money. So if they take the money now, um, and put it in that interest account, then interest bearing account, then it will collect interest, and hopefully it'll be able to help pay off more than just the restitution. It's pretty much, let's see if we can get everything paid in full. And then soon after they find that out, Kale's attorney instantly wants to file an appeal against them taking the 27K until they can figure out what to do with it, you know. Um, and so then you got the prosecution that is wanting to ask the judge to be able to cross McDavid about Kills' 2003 arrest. I think it was in Florida, on the child porn, you know, because he had got arrested in Florida about the child porn. You know, they were supposed to let him turn himself in, but for whatever reason, they decided to just go in. But I'm thinking that because of this, that Florida arrest, it was something not right about that Florida arrest. So immediately, the defense for Kells and McDavid, they object them being able to bring up that 2003 arrest. So the judge denied the prosecution, and of course, they granted defense that. Okay. So we got Derell McDavid, who is still on the stand, and he is going to do cross examination. And of course, this is the prosecution who is now about to cross him. And the prosecution, they started out with pointing out the people who affected his view of Kills on whether he was having sex with 14-year-old Rashana, and also on whether he was in the was in the cahoots with Rashana parents, the private investigator, and then and the attorney Ed Jensen, as well as the issues with Aaliyah's uncle Barry. So they are pointing these people out simply because the main people that McDavid testified about are pretty much deceased. You got Rashana's father, who is now deceased. You have Ed Jensen, which was the previous lawyer, Margolis, previous lawyer, the PI, Palladino. All of them are deceased, and let's not forget Barry, who is Aaliyah's uncle. And the problem with all of this is not one person can confirm nor deny any of McDavid's testimony. And pretty much it's like he the last man standing. So who, they don't have no choice but to take only his word, because no one else can be able to testify or deny any of this stuff. So I guess that's pretty much something that the prosecution wanted to point out ASAP, because none of this is making sense. So, like, he get to say all these things, but we have nobody to rebut any of those things. So then prosecution is asking about Kell's book, Solar Coaster, The Diary of Me. And he wanted to know if McDavid knew that he was in the acknowledgments of this book. And he just pretty much like he didn't recall. And at the height of Kell's career, he was his biggest client, you know. Prosecution say you were hired to you were hired to look after his money and to protect his image in exchange for 10% of his earnings. And pretty much the prosecution is not buying what McDavid is selling. They are also establishing how McDavid ended up earning over $1 million a year. And pretty much, I guess they was trying to say, how are you protecting someone's image, or know to protect someone's image if you don't know what it is you're protecting? If that makes sense. And I really got what the prosecution was saying. Like, you don't know none of this stuff that's going on, but you are hired to make sure he is good. You are hired to make everything go away. And in your defense, all you are saying is, oh, I was listening. I was taking orders from the lawyer and the PI. I was taking orders from the lawyer. I was taking notes from what the lawyers tell me to do or what the PI tell me to do, which ain't nobody buying it at this point. And I think that the prosecution is just pretty much trying to say, like, us as the viewers would like to know, how is it that you're doing this and protecting someone's image and you have absolutely no knowledge of their image or what you are protecting? It does not make any type of sense. You have to know. You have to know something. If you giving out money for accusational things and stuff like that, and people taking stuff to court, that should ain't nobody finna. If I'm lying, I'm not finna go to court or take you to court to prove that I'm lying on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, you know you paying these people off because you know something that they said is true. But if you want to say that you don't know, okay, we not gonna do that. I mean, he is very much willfully ignorant. I don't think he wanted to know. I don't think he wanted to lose his job. I don't think he wanted to miss out on any money. But he was literally getting hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time, which is why he made over millions a lot of the time, because of him protecting and getting back videos and paying people off and all these good stuff. So he got paid very well for protecting the image that he had no freaking idea about. Now, I can get that he didn't want to tell nobody about any of this simply because he wanted to keep his check. Like, I totally get that without a shadow of a doubt. Like, I get it. Because a lot of us, we go to work every day and we put up with a lot of things, all because we don't want to lose that check. Okay, so then they go into 2006 and 2007. They show checks from Kells in McDavid's account worth tens of thousands of dollars, and which these checks clearly show that he made well over $1 million. Prosecution asks if from 1996 to 2002, did his responsibilities include paying payouts for lawsuit settlements, and he confirmed that it was. McDavid say Tiffany Hawkins' lawsuit practically, it impacted his view that women are running around wanting Kell's money. and that they were very dishonest people. Prosecution continues to go into the many lawsuits and how McDavid paid but failing to believe any of them, but just wanting money and Kel's attorney keep objecting, but at the same time, Rashana did not want or ask for any money, and you did not, believe her. So that's because she didn't want no money, you didn't believe it. And then on to his defense though, Rashana never said that it was her. She always denied it when she was talking to when McDavid asked her, she told her that it wasn't true. So I kind of get him not believing Rashana based off of her word. But him saying he didn't believe Rashana because she didn't ask for money, I'm not really buying that part of it all. I'm just not buying that. Period. Um, and then on top of that, the times that he say he heard or saw of the tapes, like the tape, all he keeps saying is, all I remember in the tape is the back. The back. He remember Kel's back and it not being Kel's because the mold, because he saw still pictures and not the for real video. Even though when he was in court back in 2008, they played the video, he said he never looked at it. But I would think that he been around Rashana enough to know her voice. So even if you didn't look up at the screen and see her personally, you heard her voice. You know that that was that young lady. At the end of the day, you really did. You knew that without a shadow of a doubt. And in 2008, McDavid views had ended up changing for Kells. And so Kel's attorney is at this point, she just keeps objecting to so many different things that the prosecution um kind of going back and forth. Because see, okay, so the prosecution is talking to McDavid. At the same time, Kel's attorney is objecting, but she is talking over the prosecutor. Because okay, like the judge not even paying attention at this point. Like, okay, I heard you say object, but okay, keep it moving. So they talking back and forth, and the judge is like, "Stop!" The reporter's gonna be darn confused because hell, I am. So, like, can you just imagine? The prosecution is trying to cross their witness. You got the defense over here just keep running they damn trap suckers, and you got the reporters that is like like I know they going crazy. Okay. I know they in there going crazy. So the judge is like, stop. The reporters will be so confused. Prosecution ended up showing McDavid a lawsuit where he was the defendant against a girl named Nia. Even with the documents in front of him, he say he don't recall this. And prosecution like, no, the truth is your efforts with the lawsuits was limited to suppressing what Tiffany, Tracy, and Nia had to say about their sexual abuse. McDavid, he denies that. Prosecution say you pay them off to make them go away. He denies that. 2 days ago, he said he was helping Kells with settlements to make them go away. So prosecution bring up previous testimony. Um, So McDavid, he didn't believe any of the girl's story. None of Kel's accusers did he believe during the trial. But so now you believe all the victims was lying. Is that what we putting on the record? You know what I'm saying? And McDavid said, I believe what I testified to. I believe he forgetting his testimony because he like, I believe whatever I testified to yesterday. Hell, I don't know. Did I say that or didn't I say that? You know what I'm saying? That's like when you say I agree to, I believe whatever I testified to. That means you don't remember what you testified to. Why you said I agree? Because you don't. Apparently, you don't know. But anyway, and then Kel's attorney pops up and says, "Can you, judge, explain to the jury what hearsay is?" And so the judge explains it. Now, prosecution is wanting to bring up Barry Hankerson, which is Aaliyah's uncle, who McDavid said grew to hate kills. And so because they can't bring up Barry, nothing from Barry, the prosecution just asked him, did he know that Barry lawyers sent letters to Kale's attorney in 2000 and in 2001? He said no. They showed McDavid docs he don't recall. Prosecution asks about Charles Freeman and if he gave Palladino permission to give Charles the money because McDavid say Palladino paid him, and McDavid say he already answered that question, but then admit that he did he did allow Palladino to get the money, but it was Kale's money and not his. He did clarify that. Like, no, it wasn't my money. It was Kale's money. And then they get into McDavid testimonies about him not believing accusers because they did go to the police. McDavid didn't go to the police when Kale's tapes were stolen, nor on Freeman for extortion. And it was all because McDavid didn't want the police to see the child porn, he said. No. Then they got into the meeting that Rashana and her parents and her mom had testified about him being present when they discussed chaos. Well, wait a minute, because Rashana said McDavid wasn't there. Rashana mom said McDavid was there. So they kind of just was trying to figure that part for the most part. They was trying to do that. But anyway, they was asking him about being present when they discussed that Kells and Rashana was having sex. He says he was in the car and Rashana mom is confused. So you saying she got confused when she found out that Kells was sexually abusing her daughter? Kells' attorney object. But moving along, McDavid say he arranged the meeting, but he wasn't present in the room. He's asked about the 2001 meeting and Rashana testimony in the trial where Kells said he had sex with Rashana and asked for the family forgiveness. Do you have any reason to believe Rashana was lying about that testimony? He says he doesn't. Prosecution bring up that McDavid went with Kells to the psychiatrist appointment. Why wouldn't he go to an important meeting with Rashana parents? Defense objects. They go into Lisa Van Allen and Keith Murrell. McDavid say he authorized for them to get the $100K a piece, but then he say he never threatened them. But he did tell them that dude that was in there with them that he'll be to holler at them if they didn't follow through with what they said. So I don't know if he know what a threat is or if he just want to say he ain't do no threatening. I mean, I get why he would say that. Prosecution is now complaining that McDavid attorney are cheating. McDavid is not being able to answer these questions on time because he is waiting on a signals from his attorneys. So he is not testifying to his knowledge, but to the lawyers. McDavid attorney is like, are you kidding me? And he is like, I wish I wouldn't. I wish I wasn't, honey, because you gotta be kidding me that you over here and I'm looking at you nod and then he answered and I'm looking at you not nod and then he answered. And that is why his answers is coming out the way they are. Testified to, because you don't have no recollection or nothing. You're not testifying from right now. You are testifying from what you are getting signals on. So the judge ended up saying, if it's not happening, let it continue not happening. McDavid continues with, he did not believe any accusations. Prosecution asked, were you aware the entire video was shown at the trial? He says, yes, he only saw the part with a man back, but he know it was a woman in the video. And any of them extra questions that they was asking him about that video, he did not recall. Kells' attorney is asking McDavid, had he dealt with the handling of the lawsuits? You don't know the specific allegations in the lawsuits. And he said no. Prosecution bring up that every witness that say you had knowledge of Kells and Rashana, you removed yourself. You got redirect from McDavid's attorney. He asked, was there ever a time that you knew about Kells really having been on a tape doing child porn? Absolutely not. Then he is asked about Tiffany Hawkins being the first person to try to charge Kells with having sexual intercourse with a minor. You know what I'm saying? And did that have anything to change his view of the accusers? And he said it was 7 hours of lives. Did it look similar to Freeman when I questioned him in court? It was worse than Chuck. Why you didn't watch the full video at trial? Were you comfortable? He said no. So why would you not be comfortable watching a porn tape if it's just porn? He wasn't comfortable because it was child porn. There was a kid on the tape and he did not feel comfortable watching no kid having, hey, handsome, your hair comb. Hey, Tank, how you doing? Prosecution asks, can you recall specific moments you saw 14-year-olds ago? No, all I remember is the man back. Why do you do this every day? Sister, be here at 8:30 in the morning. Okay. Oh, you tank. Oh, you tank a boy. Oh, you tank. Oh, you tank. Oh, that baby tank. What you been doing all day, miss? You been having fun? Huh? Where you going? Whew. Okay, every day is just the same thing. He's freaking spoiled, rotten. Okay, so now back to it. Prosecution asks, can you recall specific moments you saw 14 years ago? No. All I remember is the man back. Prosecution now wants to rebuttal Barry Hankerson, who is deceased and is Aaliyah's uncle. Judge denies that because what they was going to do was go into that letter that McDavid saw in front of him, and he said he didn't recall that letter because so they couldn't go into it. Had he said he remembered any of that letter, oh, they did all this would be off. Okay, I'm telling y'all right now, if you would have been able to go into that, because I believe on Twitter, whoever was the Suntime reporter back then, he posted on Twitter what was inside of that letter. Okay. So if you ever want to know, go on Twitter. I can't think of his name. He was supposed to testify in this trial, but I can't think of his name. But anyway, we on day 17. You got the closing arguments. Prosecution put in a motion not to use transcripts in closing arguments. Defense put in motion to use transcripts. Judge denies prosecution and defense wins because transcripts are in. Kells and McDavid attorney will end up getting 1 hour and 45 minutes, and Brown will get 45 minutes for closing statements. Prosecution get 3 hours for closing statements. Kells' attorney say this isn't enough time for her. Judge grants her 15 extra minutes. So she will now be getting 2 hours for closing arguments. Okay. Now, prosecution started with why Kells is a predator and how all 3 men tried to cover it up. How Kells used his fame to abuse minors. Kells is on trial for 13 counts in Chicago, 4 for sexual exploitation of children, 1 for conspiracy of obstruction, 3 for receiving, producing, distributing child porn, and 5 for sexual coercion. They bring up him pissing on that child tape, the video where Kels and Rashana. Uh, okay, at the beginning of that video with Kels and Rashana, Kels give her money so that in case the tape got out, it would look like she was a freaking prostitute. Mm, mm, mm. Um, Prosecution also bring up why they paid Freeman to go and get tapes back. Um, the meeting with Kels and Rashana's parents, Dale Mc blah, blah, blah. Derell McDavid attorney starts with how defense is how how defense is glued to four names: Ed Jensen, Gerald, John Toohey, and John Toohey is one of Kell's previous attorneys, and PI Palladino. Okay, so all of these people are deceased. Okay, and everything was pretty much was directions of those people who are deceased and not McDavid. He just followed their orders. His attorney ended up explaining that McDavid is innocent because Rashana never told McDavid. She told him it wasn't her. He explains that no matter how happy y'all may get, McDavid was not at the 2001 meeting with Kels, Rashana, and her parents. Even the mom testified he was there. He also pointed out that the reason that he didn't believe the girls back then because of Tiffany Hawkins' case. But when asked if he thought the testimony of the accusers was false, he said no. So in 2022, he truly knows Kels is guilty. That wasn't the case back then because he felt they all wanted money. McDavid cries when his lawyer is returning to his seat. Why is McDavid crying? And it's back over. Like, is that what you want? You want them darn jury people to feel like he really just didn't know. And he's crying because he done finally found the truth. And I ain't banned. I ain't banned what they're selling. I'm telling you, I ain't banned. Kell's attorney moves for mistrial because McDavid attorney brought up that Freeman had deleted two other videos that was on two of the videos that was on trial off of the internet. So after he found out that he was being investigated for extortion, he had pulled these two videos off of the internet. And the problem is that it hadn't came up in this trial. And Kell's attorney they feel like because they didn't know this particular information, they had they didn't have enough time to come up with an internet theory. You know what I'm saying? And that McDavid is calling Kell's guilty because he said if he knew then what he know now, is prejudicial. Prejudicial prejudicial for Kels and McDavid to be, tried together. So this is wrong because at this point, McDavid is pretty much saying that Kels is freaking guilty. And then at another point, y'all bringing up that Two of these videos had been on the internet and they only got pulled because somebody found out that they was being investigated for the joint. Now we ain't buying. But of course, the judge denies that there's no mistrial love. No mistrial love. During this time, a juror ended up having a panic attack, and she was replaced with the alternate, a white man who was in his 60s, and the juror that ended up leaving, she was in her 30s. Milton Brown, attorney. It's Milton Brown. Okay, so McDavid attorney, when he got up, apparently he was yelling. He was extremely so loud that when Milton Brown's attorney get up, she instantly is like, I will not be yelling at you at all like McDavid's attorney did. The government did not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Milton knew what those videos were. He is on trial for receiving child porn for a minor. He carried Kell's bag as an assistant. That is his job. But he had no knowledge of what was on the tapes. There's no evidence that he did. So that's pretty much, that's like the real truth. Like, because at the end of the day, even though I know he knew, but at the end of the day, if you're someone's assistant and being an assistant to carry their bags, it's part of your job because you're assisting them. And so, like, so if you're walking around with this bag of VHS tapes, assistant or no assistant, if I'm walking around with your bags and stuff, yes, I'm looking at these tapes. But at the same time, I don't know what was wrote on these tapes to say, like, was Rashana name on the tape? Was Lisa name on the tape? Was Nia name on the tape? Was they names like on these tapes in order for you to know? Like, how would you know that it was child porn unless it's on the tape? So at the end of the day, even if it wasn't on the tape, and even if he done looked in that bag 1,000 times, I got a feeling he still knew because there was too many accusations and too many lawsuits out there for you not to. But anyway, Kell's attorney moved for another mistrial because Kells was unable to get a fair trial. Presumption of innocence. Of course, the judge denies that. By the end of this day, Kells, he had an hour and 5 minutes left for his closing, and the government had 57 minutes for their closing. I just wanted to give you the gist of the closings because I didn't give you the gist of the openings. I just wanted you to see how they was closing things out. So I didn't really get into no more of the other, like, okay, enough was enough. Like, because that trial was horrendous, like, to hear about these children, even though we all about the same age now, but still, that unbothered. It's just too much. Like, I couldn't see me doing that. And Lord knows that could have been me without them being so famous. The same thing. I was young. My baby daddy wasn't. So I kind of get it a little bit. But now that I'm older, it's kind of like, oh, that was so nasty. You know what I'm saying? Like, it took me to do that. Just like when I had turned like 18 and I'm looking at, okay, so I got brothers that is what? 12, 8, and 4 years older than me. So when my older brothers, friends, I turned 18, y'all looking at me, I felt like at that point, I'm like, y'all been looking at me since I was a kid or something. You know, it's like, it's just a thought. It comes across your head from time to time. Like, as I'm grown, it's like, okay, it's a little creepy because literally, yeah, me and my baby daddy, we was literally 8 years apart. Same age as my big brother. Yeah, same age as my big brother. So I could have been Rashana and them on this trial, just on a lower level. And I'm sure there's a lot of us that could be on this trial. Really, we go all the way back to our grandparents and everything. We can go all the way back to slave days, all that stuff. Like, okay, we can go, everybody can go back. Everybody family. Y'all cannot tell me that y'all don't have, like, your grandma did not just get old what you did. Like, you got to think about it. Like, if you look at your grandparent age now and your age now, I promise you, you can see, like, okay, grandma was, oh, younger than me. Got it. Right. So now we can get to this verdict because I didn't go through no more of that. So Kels was found guilty on 3 counts of child porn, 3 counts of enticing a minor, and he was acquitted on obstruction of justice. Both of the co-defendants was found not guilty, period, point blank. Y'all can sip on that and make it make sense. And I'll be with you guys tomorrow. Love y'all.